Netflix is remaking Little House on the Prairie, and it's about time. Little House on the Prairie is one of my comfort shows. For those who don't know, the series was a Western historical drama loosely based on the book series by Laura Ingalls Wilder, which was inspired by her life. The series centered on the Ingalls family, who lived on a farm on Plum Creek near Walnut Grove, Minnesota, in the 1870s to 1890s. No, I did not grow up when the show originally aired from 1974 to 1983, but I did grow up watching the show as I owned a couple of the seasons on DVD. This show was ahead of its time. It was epic in scope with gorgeous cinematography and fantastic directing. What made the show work was the incredible cast of characters and the building of each episode around a core life lesson. This isn't a show that a lot of young people are familiar with these days, as the original books that the show was based on were never really milked. I have been wondering when they would finally revisit these books for TV, as it has a lot of potential in the modern era. These stories and characters are rich, full of lessons that many kids would benefit from learning. What is most imperative here is that they nail the casting for the Ingalls family. The chemistry has to be on point, particularly between Charles and Laura. Perfect were Michael Landon as Charles, Melissa Gilbert as Laura, Karen Grassel as Carolyn, and Melissa Sue Anderson as Mary. It is going to be impossible to get a better cast than that original cast, but I have high hopes that they will do something good with this. The showrunner and executive producer will be Rebecca Sonnenschein, known for The Boys and The Vampire Diaries. Many roll their eyes at remakes or reboots of franchises. We all know that Star Wars is in a bad way, and it will surely hurt if another series that I love is mistreated. The original series still holds up and is just as great today, but if you've seen Netflix's Anne with an E, then you know that they can do great things with a show set around this time period, and Anne is a similar character to Laura. Production on the reboot is expected to run between June and October of 2025 in Winnipeg, Canada. Apparently, the producers of the series have been pushing for this reboot for years, and it is clear that there is passion here. All you have to do is read the casting call that was put out to see that the people behind the show have a rich and deep understanding of the characters. The casting call describes the reboot as part hopeful family drama, part epic survival tale, and part origin story of the American West. It goes on to say, "This fresh adaptation of Laura Ingalls Wilder's iconic semi-autobiographical Little House books offers a kaleidoscope view of the struggles and triumphs of those who shaped the frontier." One thing I hope that the series does not shy away from is the Christian themes. The Ingalls family attended church religiously, with it being at the center of their community. Many of the episodes are structured around lessons that originate from the Bible. The original show always did this in a way that wasn't preachy, and Charles was very much a modern man. If he believed he had something more important to do, he would not attend church. But it was never out of disrespect for the church. In our modern era, many may turn their nose up at this aspect of the show, but I believe that it is core to its identity, and if you were not a Christian, you always were able to watch the original show and appreciate it because it never forced religion down your throat. One of the things I hope that we get from this new series is more of a focus on Laura as a protagonist and a deeper exploration of her psyche. In the original series, the middle seasons shy away from her and focus on other characters a little more. I never disliked this approach. I like the supporting characters. I just think that it would be a stronger series if it focused on her the whole time. She is the more important character to get right. Candidates for the role of Laura have until April 4th to submit a self-tape. That includes a full body shot of the young actress, who must be white and between the ages of 9 and 11. Here's the character description from the breakdown. Everyone sees themselves in Laura. That's why these books endure. Laura is a disruptor, honest to a fault, questions authority. She's our window into this adventure, an American icon in waiting. Forget your modern ideas of childhood. The stakes are high for children living in the 19th century. They have responsibilities and freedoms that seem extraordinary in this era of helicopter parenting. Mixed in with small pleasures and petty disputes with her older sister are true feats of survival and bravery. She is observant, tender, strong-willed, hot-tempered. She resists the bounds of 19th century ladylike behavior. She likes to run barefoot and feel the sun on her face. She is curious and optimistic and fearless, like her father, resourceful and hard-working and honest like her mother. She is quick to call out anyone who is cruel or unjust. She loves fiercely and unapologetically, and is utterly devoted to her dog, Jack. She rubs some adults the wrong way. Too many hard questions, too much personality, too much energy. But to the people who matter, she is a bright light. She absorbs every detail she sees around her, collecting them for stories she will someday share with the world. If that is not the most perfect description of Laura, I really appreciate the amount of detail they went in here to sell the character. As I read it, it brought a smile to my face. I have the same feelings about the descriptions for the other characters from the casting call. Here's the one for Charles. Charles Ingalls won his wife's heart by carrying her 3 miles through the snow to a winter dance. He's a man who'd fit seamlessly into the 21st century. Ruggedly handsome, charming, outgoing, a farmer and a trapper, a carpenter and an artist, a poet, a musician, a skilled storyteller. The original girl dad. He is an optimist, always glass half full. But he is also a wanderer, a seeker, a man forever in search of greener pastures. Here's the one for Carolyn. Carolyn Ingalls did not marry her husband out of convenience. They fell truly, madly, deeply in love. It was a great romance, and it still is. She's got a playful side, a romantic side, but at the end of the day, she's the one who keeps this family on track, like mums do. She's quiet and patient and practical, but with a core of steel. She gave up her teaching career to have a family, but that yearning for independence never quite went away. Her marriage is one of equals, something rare in the 19th century, and though her trust in her husband is tested, the strength of their love endures. And here's the one for Mary. Mary Ingalls is Laura's older sister and polar opposite, a rule follower, quiet and studious, always angling to be the good daughter, the obedient one, the ladylike one, the prettier one. Other parents love Mary. Unlike her sister, she is uncomfortable in the natural world. The sun is too hot, the snow is too cold. She loves pretty ribbons and reading poetry and long afternoons of sewing. In other words, Laura and Mary are oil and water, best friends and mortal enemies. They love each other deeply and argue intensely, but in the end, they always have each other's backs. There is no choice but to protect each other in this wild new landscape. Former cast members of the series that aired on NBC have spoken out in support of the reboot, with Melissa Gilbert saying, "The original was Michael Landon's interpretation, and now it's time for someone else's interpretation, and I think there's plenty of room for that. And I think there's a lot of other stories to mine beyond that. So I think this opens the door in a lot of ways for all kinds of Little House on the Prairie projects. The original series was also known for its tight-knit and healthy on-set environment fostered by producer and director William F. Claxton, as well as star executive producer and director Michael Landon, who was very much considered as much a loving and protective father figure on set as he was on the screen. You can feel all of this on screen when you watch the series, and I'm hoping that the new show can tap into those same feelings. No show can make me cry as often as Little House does, and that is thanks in large part to Michael Landon. I hope they retain the original music. That opening theme song will bring a tear to my eye if they use it. At a time when most shows ran for 22 minutes an episode, the Little House episodes were double that, running at 44 minutes, and with ads, a whole episode would run for an hour. Once a week, every week, families sat down together to check in with the Ingalls family. They related to them and connected to them. I hope that this new series can have that same effect. I know that Netflix loves to drop a whole season in one go, as it has become popular to binge-watch shows, but I hope they utilize the same release model as the original show did, one episode a week. I would love to sit down with my family once a week, like so many families did for 9 years in the 70s and 80s. Let's hope they get this right. I'm excited for the story of the Ingalls family to be introduced to younger generations, and I'm excited to get to experience it myself, as I think that to this day we can still learn a lot from this family and their story. A show based in the 1800s, released in the 70s, was progressive, and I'm sure this one will be too. I'm going to end off this video with one of my favourite quotes from Charles, for which there are many great ones. You know, we have a lot of funny notions born inside of us. The funniest is that we're supposed to hide the way that we feel about people. Let me tell you, everybody wants to know that they are loved, or needed, or cared about. Anybody who doesn't want to know that has something wrong with them. Nothing bad ever comes from telling people how you really feel about them.